Welcome to the Seller Roundtable e-commerce coaching and business strategies with Andy Arnott and Amy Wees.
Tell us, a little bit more about you, like where you were born, where you live now, maybe like something funny in the past, growing up, jobs, college, just kind of a general background on you.
Oh man, how much time we have?
Right? You like talking about yourself too?
No. No, I've been. I live in Austin, Texas, just up the road from Amy. Actually, we're just talking about that just a few minutes ago. I've been here like 30 years. I haven't worked for anybody. Last time I think, what do they call those things? W-2s or something like that. Last time I filled out one of those was about 30 some odd years ago. So I've been an entrepreneur my entire life from the age of 2 on up. When I was a little kid, I was selling empty oatmeal containers as drums to the local neighborhood kids. Because you could turn an empty Quaker oatmeal container over, and if you beat it, it sounded like a drum. So I was selling those for like a dime a piece or something. I'd go to the store with my mom when I was like 3 and buy, back then you had the penny bubble gum, and I would sell it for 3 cents, all the way up until, in high school, I was into music. So I was looking at the Casey Kasem top 40. Some of these people in here would know who that is. Some of the younger people may not know what that is. But I would listen to that, make my own top 40 list, and then take it to school, pass it out in the classroom, say, hey, anybody want to buy the album? That's in here, or the single. This is back in the days of vinyl. I would actually get my mom to take me every Friday to the record store about 20 miles away, and I would buy, whoever giving me money for albums, and I'd mark them up like $1 or $2 or something like that. So I've been doing it for a long time. So I've been selling on Amazon though since 2001. I started selling on a program called Advantage, which is similar to Vendor Central, where they issue purchase orders. I have a calendar business that's that I've been doing for years. So we wholesale some calendars to Amazon. That's a seasonal business, so that's not the main focus of what I do now, but I still run that business. It's very lucrative. It's a niche type of calendar business where I manufacture in China, or actually in Korea, to be more specific. We used to do China. I bring them in, and I have a direct mailing list where I actually send out stuff by physical mail. I have about 10,000 customers on that list that every year they get my catalog. It's actually a printed catalog, not an email or a web store. And about half of that business is people sending in checks and money orders still. It still exists. Everybody in this internet age thinks that everything's email, Facebook, internet, and it couldn't be further from the truth. There's still a lot of money out there in traditional marketing, and a lot of these younger people that are building their Amazon businesses, they think everything's got to go through Facebook, or all the retargeting has to be Facebook and custom audiences and all that. There's a ton of opportunity out there on the more traditional side that they just don't understand. It doesn't make sense to them, but there's tons of opportunity there. So I do that. And then in 2015, I think it was, I had a couple other companies that were doing well. I traveled the world. I spent about 7 years, 2 weeks in the office, 2 weeks traveling, every single month. That started out as a 1-year deal and turned into 7 years. And I made a little list of where I wanted to go, and I wasn't backpacking, but I wasn't staying in the Four Seasons or something either. So I went to 92 countries in all 7 continents. And I had a company that I was able to coast. It did pretty well. I wasn't retired or anything, but it had done pretty good. I was able to coast on that for a while until it kind of just buried itself in the ground. I was like, I got to do something. What can I do? So I looked into several different things, and around that time, amazing.com was pushing, I think, ASM 3 or 4. And so I watched, they had like a 4-part video series where they're hyping a $5,000 course or whatever it was. So I watched their 4 videos. And I was like, there's no way in hell I'm paying $5,000 for this. This is simple. This is easy. This is right up my alley. I've been doing this kind of thing for a while. It's just I already sell on Amazon. So I just self-educated myself, listened to, I think back then, the only podcasts were like Kevin Reiser and Scott Volker. I think it just started. A few people like that, listen to as much information, joined some Facebook groups, and launched later that summer, launched five different brands on Amazon, private label brands under 5 different categories: pet category, beauty, sports and outdoors, electronics, and home and kitchen. And so, it just took off from there. And then in 2016, I think I was on the AM PM or High Rollers Facebook group, Manny Coates' group. And someone had posted something, and there's just a bunch of misinformation. Some people were saying, "Oh, this is how something works," and it's like bullshit. That's not how it works. And people were repeating, regurgitating this information they heard on a podcast or heard somewhere else from some idiot that was just saying stupid stuff. So I stepped in to correct that, and it started a big thread. Manny saw it, and he's like, "Hey, you should come on the podcast." And I was like, "No, I'm just selling. I have no interest in being on a podcast or anything like that." So no, you should come on the podcast. And so we recorded a podcast. I think it's about 3 years ago, I guess now, March or so of 2016, March or April. He put that out, and it became one of his top podcasts of all time, just because I guess there's a lot of people in this business that don't say it like it is, or don't say the truth. They sugarcoat it or make it look better than what it is or easier than what it is. And you see it in all the courses out there with all the guys with their Lamborghinis and selling you the dream that you can quit and retire from your job next week, and look at my millions that I'm making. And it's all bullshit for the most part.
Yeah.
So it's I mean, there are people that make good money in this, don't get me wrong. There are people that have punched a winning lottery ticket. There's no question about it. People that got in 2013, 14, they just put a label on a pack of erasers, and that they found in China, and they retired a few years later with a couple million in the bank. It's happened. But that's not normal, and they show all these screenshots. I look at my student in the first month, he did $100,000. Here's a screenshot. But what they don't tell you is, yeah, he might have done $100,000 in sales, but he's actually negative 25,000 in his bank account, because that 100,000 in sales is how Amazon reports it as full price sales. But he had to give all those away at 99% off, and pay the Amazon fees and everything else. So he's actually negative. He hasn't made a dime. But look at me. Here's my rented Lamborghini. So it's this Airbnb that I'm staying at. So there's a lot of that out there. So you have to be careful. So after the podcast, I started getting approached about private tutoring and mentoring, and I was like, I don't really want to do that. I don't have the time for that. But that podcast led into other podcasts, and then it led into speaking engagements. And so then Manny and Guillermo, that own Helium-10 software, they said, hey, we're going to launch this program called the Illuminati Mastermind. It's going to be like there's all these courses for new people, how to sell on Amazon, but there's nothing really out there for people that are already selling. How can we go to the next level? There's some $10,000 masterminds in Hawaii or Mexico or whatever, but there's nothing really that's good training. So we started that. It was started a little over 2 years ago, monthly programs, like $400 a month. So I'm the lead mentor in that. And we bring on guests, and it's like 3 to 4 hours every single month where we talk about different things for more advanced level sellers. And that just got rebranded last month to be called Helium-10 Elite. So they made it a better deal. They actually include the software and stuff at same price, but they include all their software and some extra things. And it got rebranded as an option on there. I don't have anything to do with Helium-10. I'm not part of that. They're just friends of mine. But through that, about a year and a half ago, there was so much misinformation. I got so frustrated with all these Lamborghini guys on YouTube and Facebook and everything. I was like, someone just needs to do a course and say it more like it is. And most of these courses are very simple. You pay $4,000 for a course sometime. I mean, there are some good ones. There are a handful of good ones. I'm not knocking them all. There are some good ones, but the vast majority of them, you pay a bunch of money and you get in there and it's like 3 hours of video, or 5 hours of video, and it's bad. And they don't really tell you anything. They're all the same formula. Pick something that's under this much weight, or fits in a shoebox, or is between this price and this price, or this BSR and that BSR. And everybody ends up picking the same stuff. Everybody thinks there's a magic formula, and you find, a baby blanket, and you're like, oh, look, I can make money on this. And by the time you get it launched, there's 500 other people that took the same course and are launching the same thing. And 1 or 2 people make money, and everybody else says this Amazon thing is saturated and doesn't work. And they end up losing money. It's 90% of the people that probably try to sell on Amazon fail permanently, not just fail the first time, but fail permanently because they don't do it right. So I was like, let me show people how to think on their own. I don't have the magic formula, but here's what you need to know. Here's the basics. Here's basic marketing. Here's basic business. And hopefully there's quite a few people that have come through that. That's not what everybody wants. A lot of people want the magic, how can I get rich quick? And they're going to gravitate to that other stuff. But the people that want to know that this is a real business, it's hard work, Yes, it has a great upside if you do it right. That's what I teach. So I do that. I still sell my products. I help my wife on her account. Last year I spoke at 26 different, or no, I was at 26 different events for Amazon Seller. Spoke at about half of those. So I do a lot of speaking gigs now, and so last year I did a lot of those for free. It was just kind of a publicity thing, and plus I meet a lot of other sellers. So one of the advantages of that, like I'm leaving Thursday, go to Vancouver to speak at an event, then I'll be at Prosper, then I'm going to Prague at the end of this month to speak at another event. Some of the advantages of that is not so much what I learn in the trainings there. Most of those I really don't learn anything in the actual trainings, but it's the people. You're sitting there having lunch or going to dinner with some of these other successful people. That's, for me, that's when the real information comes out, especially if I'm buying them some drinks. So that's why I do some of that, and that helps me in my business. It helps me with my students. But this year now it's gotten to the point where I have to cut back on it. So I'm actually charging. I'm probably one of the only speakers out there that actually is getting paid a speaking fee to come to events. So that's, I've been able to leverage that in that way, so I can be a little bit more picky and choosy. So that's basically the whole thing in a nutshell. So I still sell on Amazon, and I do a lot of training, and it keeps me very busy.
That's good. That's good. Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in. Join us every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for live Q&A and bonus content after the recording at SellerRT10.com. Sponsored by the ultimate software tool for Amazon sales and growth, SellerSEO.com and AmazingAtHome.com.